So in my last video, I started making it. I got about a half hour in and I was like, you know what? This is going to be like a 5-hour video. I'm just going to leave all the links in my description or whatever. If you want to check out the information that I presented, you can go back and check it out. But I didn't mention one of the main points that I wanted to mention with the 923 that I had talked about. So as I explained, the 923 definitely connected to Pope Francis. And it seems as though almost every team that has been to the championship in the past year has been connected to either the royal family, Pope Francis, or both. You know, in Gematria, Kansas City Royals equals 59, just like Pope Francis the small way. They're obviously connected to the royal family, the Royals, whatnot. There's a whole bunch more. I even talked about how on June 6th last year, 6/6 of 2015, which even breaks down to 6 or 15 is 1 plus 5, so 666. A guy dressed as the Pope caught a home run ball of Salvador Perez. Salvador Perez ended up being the World Series most valuable player, whatever they call it. Right? So, it was the 111th World Series. Queen Elizabeth is born on normally the 111th day of the year. This year was a leap year, so it was the 112th day. But it was the 111th World Series. Matt Harvey didn't come out of the final game until after he pitched 111 pitches. There was a whole bunch more of 111. It ends on 11-1. It's just ridiculous. New York and Gematria, I didn't write that up here, but New York and Gematria also equals 111. They play in Queens, New York. The Mets were the team that were connected a lot to Queen Elizabeth, and Kansas City, even though it had the Royals connection, it was also connected to Pope Francis. And even in Gematria, Queen Elizabeth II equals 168. New York Mets equals 168. In regards to how even Queen Elizabeth and Pope Francis connect, September 23rd, the huge day on his visit to the United States, that day leaves 99 days left until the end of the year. Queen Elizabeth became the longest reigning British/English monarch of all time last year on September 9th, which is 9/9. That also equals 168. Cleveland Cavaliers, who lost last year, equals 168. There's also a whole bunch of stuff that connects it to Back to the Future that ends on October 27th, 1985, which just so happened to be the 303rd anniversary of Philadelphia, which a lot of this stuff goes back to because of Revelation. But that's the one I'm not for sure of, is the connection between the college football championship with Alabama and Clemson. Clemson has the connection to the Carolinas. The Carolinas were named after King Charles I in the English Civil War and whatnot. Or they were just named after him. The Carolinas, it comes from the feminine version of Charles, which is Carolina and whatnot. So they even had the connection to the royal family that I've been talking about with the Civil War stuff. And I'm not exactly sure how Alabama fits into all that. I need to do some more research on that. It's the only team that I can't figure out how it fits into it. But the total score of that championship game was even 85, like 1985. 1985 also just so happened to be Queen Elizabeth's 33rd year as being the queen, right? 33, the highest degree in Scottish Rite Freemasonry. So a very special year was 1985 in regards to Queen Elizabeth. 1985 also when the Royals won the World Series the same day that Back to the Future ends in 1985, October 27th. The World Series this year began on that day. In 2015, it was also the same day that the NBA season began, the day that leaves 65 days left until the end of the year. And if you write out the word Prince, Prince equals 65. So it's just a huge web connecting to Pope Francis and the Royals. So anyway, in the Super Bowl, it was also connected to the royal stuff. You know, Denver won. Denver's from Colorado, the 38th state that equals 38 the small way. It also equals 83 the big way. Peyton Manning even born on the 83rd day of the year. The Super Bowl was played on the 38th day of the year. Panthers equals 38. The word Prince also equals 38. You know, and of course the Panthers from the Carolinas. There's a ton of other connections, but I just want to point out that all of these teams are either connected to the Pope or to the royal family or both. Even Villanova, the Catholic school from right outside of Philadelphia, they beat North Carolina, right? The Carolinas, once again, connected to King Charles. Philadelphia and Villanova, the Catholic school, connected to Pope Francis. They even won 191 days after Pope Francis was in Philadelphia last year. That was the last day that he was in Philadelphia. It was September 27th. It's the anniversary of the Jesuit order, or also called the Society of Jesus. And Villanova wins 191 days. Society of Jesus equals 191. You know, so moral of the story, I'm on track of what's going on. Whether I'm picking the winner or not, that's why I'm saying it doesn't matter. There's a definite connection to all of this. Also, what I'm trying to figure out, you know, like the Royals were more connected to Pope Francis, and with the 923 stuff last year, the Warriors were more connected to Pope Francis. This year, the Cavaliers had all the 923 stuff. So even though they were super connected to the English Civil War, they're still connected to Pope Francis. And I also find it interesting, like, the San Jose Sharks just lost in the Stanley Cup Finals, and then now the Oakland Warriors, they're both from the San Francisco Bay Area. I've talked about how San Francisco is named after St. Francis of Assisi. That's also who Pope Francis is named after. He's the guy who received the first stigmata. San Francisco in Gematria also equals 122. I talked about it a long time ago how San Francisco is the gay capital of the world. I made a ton of videos on that clear back before or right around the time, probably about a year ago, with right when gay marriage was legalized and whatnot, and there was all these connections to San Francisco and Pope Francis. Just kind of interesting, we get the Orlando shooting at the gay nightclub now. I even talked about in the movie Pixels, where they have Pac-Man eating San Francisco, and they never go to San Francisco on the entire movie. That's on the cover of the movie, San Francisco getting ate by Pac-Man, yet they never go there, right? And there's something to do with Pope Francis's visit that connects to Philadelphia and also to San Francisco. I've talked a lot about earthquakes, you know, earthquake equals 107 in Gematria, just like if you write out King Charles. So, obviously San Francisco, a place for earthquakes as well. I talked more about an East Coast earthquake. But also the Jews believe that the Messiah will come through the Golden Gate. Golden Gate in Gematria just so happens to equal 239. Right now we're in the 239th year of the United States. It even comes from this right here, the Torah that equals 239. All of these things on, we'll see if I can load it here. I'm uploading a video right now. My internet's going even super slower. But all of the headlines talk about how the Cavs won a championship for the first time in 52 years, even though it's actually 51 years, 5 months, 23 days. 523, also a special number we've talked about a whole lot in regards to political assassination. So anyway, it doesn't say it on here. I have to click on an article. It might take a while. But all of the headlines say 52 years and not 51, which I find kind of strange. But the reason that I think it says 52 instead of 51 is because the 52nd prime is 239. So I think they're showing us something about San Francisco and building it up. That's why there's all the gay stuff in the media constantly. But, you know, who really knows? I even talked about Princess Charlotte being born on May 2nd, 5/2 last year, which was also the 122nd day of the year. Moral of the story is this is why I don't care about who wins. They're telling us other things through these sports. You know, it's a definite connection. You cannot deny the fact that there is a royal theme and a theme to Pope Francis within every one of these sporting events in the last year. Just wanted to point that out. That's what the whole point of the last video I started making. There's so much information, you can sift through it for yourself. I need to go back and look through it myself as well. There's a lot of things that I feel like I might have missed, but it's a whole lot of stuff to think about. And that's why I stopped that video, because it would have been forever. I can just share my other videos. If you want to watch them, you can. If you don't watch it. But I did present a lot of information. So, whatever. Gonna leave it at that. It's already long enough. I didn't even want to make this more than 5 minutes. But have a good one.